Welcome to another edition of the Weir Pod. My name is Clare Hughes, board member and co-founder of Women in Estate Agency. Each week we bring you stories from some of the amazing people in our community. But of course we couldn't do it without our fantastic partners here at Digital Sparks. If you haven't heard of them or seen their work, then please do check them out. And of course, if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Who brings not just industry expertise, but resilience and a true sense of purpose to everything that he does. Stephen Brown is founder of Stephen J. Brown Consultancy and Estate Agents Learning. His journey through the estate agent world has been shaped by personal challenges, his family legacy in the industry, to facing serious health conditions. Stephen's advocacy for well-being, inclusion and community impact inspired so many of us, and he's a strong ally of Women in Estate Agency. He's also passionate about encouraging more men to show up and listen and take part in the conversation, because it's needed so that we can make those changes. So I'm so pleased to have you here today, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we start, when we spoke earlier, I said there's just so much to say. We've got to try and keep it in the 30 to 40 minutes, but shall we start at the beginning?
Thank you. I'll try my hardest. And thank you for having me as a guest. It's a real honour to be here.
Oh, thank you.
So, start from the beginning.
Early days, because I know your early, childhood wasn't the easiest of childhoods.
No, my dad was in hospital for the first 23 years of my life until he passed away. He was the first successful kidney transplant patient in the UK.
Wow.
My second home was Hammersmith Hospital.
Yep.
On my 21st birthday, my dad said, you need to take me to hospital now. And I remember driving through every red light to Hammersmith Hospital.
Did you get stopped at all?
I didn't, but my dad said to me, he said, what are you trying to do, kill me? And I said, no, I'm trying
to save you.
I'm trying to get you to hospital. So we went in there. And actually the next day the nurses, when we went there, the nurses and doctors were in tears and said, what's the matter? They said, you need to go and say goodbye because your dad's not going to be here. And then the next day he actually started a new business. So that was, my dad was an incredible person.
Do you think that's where some of your resilience and your strength comes from him?
I'm sure it was, because I want to make him proud. Mm-hmm. He made me proud. He looked after, I got two sisters and my mum whilst he was incredibly ill.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was an absolute inspiration for me. And I remember I wanted to help him. And said, come on, Dad, can I come and work for you? No, you're not working for me whatsoever. So yeah, and then 2 years later, he sadly passed away.
But he had those extra 2 years that...
But he had those extra 2 years where he started off a business. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, I ended up going into that business because I got made redundant.
Right.
From my second job that I was at. Literally, I was studying to become a charter surveyor, and I was in the boardroom, and it was a day before 2 years where you would have got redundancy payout. Yeah. And the market at the time was in recession, and I was the cheapest one, so loads of people were being made redundant, and I was the last one to go. I was in at 8 o'clock in the morning studying for my exams. And then the line manager came in and said, Stephen, I'm really sorry, we're going to have to let you go.
You never did qualify as a...
No, I did qualify.
Later?
Yeah, I qualified, so I became a charter surveyor. I did it via correspondence course. So I was working, and then in the evenings I was studying to become a charter surveyor. I failed, here's an unuseful fact, I failed my charter surveyor exams twice the first year because it was all theory. Yeah. And I was doing all the practical stuff. And then actually, when I realised that the exam questions were the questions that I should have been answering to the correspondence course every month, I actually passed. And then the second and third year I flew through and I got close to 100% because it was practical and easy.
So you did that in 3 years through a correspondence course?
It took me 6 years to actually qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've leapt ahead a little bit. So your father, you joined his business when you were made redundant?
So when I was at Druce, my dad used to work for liquidators, and he used to dispose of company assets, and some of the assets used to be property assets.
Right.
So he would come to me and say, Stephen, I've got this building, what should I do? So I said, well, give it to them, or give it to them, they'll be good. And then when I got made redundant, he said, well, rather than you giving it to other people, why don't we set you up? So set up above a bakery shop in East Finchley, had a little room.
Very glamorous.
It was very glamorous, and then started for a year, and then sadly he passed away. So I ended up going into partnership with 3 other people, or 5 other people.
The same business, though?
Yeah, it was
Or
a similar business. So I dealt with property. One guy dealt with the chattels and the assets, and another guy was the administrator. And then we had 3 people that knew that all the accountants, all the liquidators, they were going to give us loads of business, and sadly that never materialised.
So what age were you at this age?
So I was most probably 23, 24.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So it's very young to be taking on that kind of level of responsibility.
Yes, yeah. And sadly it didn't work out.
Right.
I mean, you know, I'd gone from working my first job where I was £4,000 a year to it was a fortune in those days, to seeing an advert for a second job for £50,000 investment surveyor, and I decided to go along for that. I didn't quite get the £50,000 a year job, but the owner of a business liked the fact that I'd applied for it, so he created a job for me.
Really?
And then sadly the market just went downhill, and it was incredibly challenging.
There's always peaks and troughs in sort of boom and bust. But you were also quite close to your grandfather as well.
Yeah, I was close to my grandfather, and when I started at Gracefine, actually, the first job. So I was 18, and I was off, and I got a phone call to say, do you know this person? And I said, no, I don't know who you're talking about, because they gave a name they was called. He was a furrier, and they gave his name in the furrier train. I don't know who he is. And then they said, oh, it's Norman. Okay, yeah, that's my granddad. Well, he's just fallen down. Okay, so I went out in this is how my memory works, in my beige pyjamas, put on the tracksuit top, ran or got a car there, and actually he had just had a heart attack. So I took him back to his flat, called an ambulance rather than going straight to the hospital. On the back of the ambulance, he zeroed out. They gave him CPR. I don't know whether they had defibrillators there or whatever.
The survival rates of out of hospital cardiac arrest is very, very low.
I know, because 2 months ago I had to deliver administer a defibrillator on somebody and CPR, and fortunately saved his life.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
was that a defib that was just is in the community, or at a venue?
That was I was playing walking cricket, and we were on the cricket pitch, and the guy left the pitch, and he said, I'm feeling some heart pains, chest pains. So he went and sat down, and we called the ambulance. He said, no, I'm fine, I want to drive. I said, no, you're not driving, call the ambulance. And then called again, and then I went to the groundsman and said, have you got a defibrillator? And they did, so we brought the defibrillator back, and then right in front of me, literally,
God, that's amazing.
And nobody else would administer the defibrillator.
Why not?
Nobody wanted to take responsibility, and one of the persons, in fairness to him, had done it twice before, and both those people hadn't survived, and he didn't want the responsibility.
But most won't survive, but the fact that there are defibrillators out in the community now, I mean, we've got them on our high streets. I know that the golf club has them. It is saving lives. It really is saving lives.
It's really important. When I got to the hospital, literally, and the folks were there, the doctors came out and said, look, you've got to thank this person, because if he didn't administer the defibrillator and give CPR, your dad would, and your father wouldn't be here.
Do you know what? In case of emergency, I want you there.
I would never want to.
Just the best person to have around.
I was calm.
And that's the thing, but that's your whole demeanour, is that. Anyhow, we've jumped forward
we have.
several decades. So let's go back. So your grandfather,
so coming back to my granddad, literally I found him or saw him dead 3 times. He was brought back to life twice. And then the 3rd time he actually came out of hospital, was back home on Christmas Day. Boxing Day I went to visit him, I opened the door and I found him dead in his chair in his kitchen with the oven on. And that was it. And I couldn't talk about it for a year. Had no emotions.
Must have been very shocking.
I didn't cry.
Yeah.
And then a year later, literally, it all came out.
Why do you think you didn't cry?
I don't know. I didn't.
Were you kind of head of the household? Did you feel that?
No, look, my dad was still around then.
Oh, I see. Right.
So
Okay.
you know, at that time, so I was 18 at the time.
Right.
So that was 5 years before my dad.
Right.
Passed away. So no, I suppose I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then sadly with everything else, I got used to dealing with it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was there when my dad died.
Yeah. Did you find that helpful at the end?
It was a relief.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was in a better place. You know, I'd seen him suffer for 23 years, and he was in a much better place. So actually it was a relief, you know, and then I didn't cry because all my emotions had come out because I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So when he went back 2 years later, after the 21, you know, and he went back again on my birthday, and then he died 2 months later, it's like, you know, we knew he wasn't getting any better.
Yeah.
So
as you say, a relief. I know that I found it quite helpful when my mother died that we were all there. I mean, we knew she was dying, and people think that it might be very hard, but I found it helpful. And as you say, a relief. You don't want to watch somebody suffering, do you?
No, suffer too much.
But you've had a lot of experience of watching somebody that you love very much suffer. So you left, your business failed, and you then went to Green & Co?
I went to Green & Co, so went into agency, got introduced by one of my clients, said they're looking for a negotiator, go and have a conversation. So I went and had a conversation, and the MD said, well, look, you're going to qualify as a chartered surveyor in 6 months' time, so you're going to leave me, so there's no point in me hiring me. And 3 weeks later, I hadn't found anywhere, he hadn't found anybody. So I ended up working there. Didn't sell a property for the first 9 months. My confidence was very low at the time. I used to answer the phone, Green & Co. You know, no confidence whatsoever.
What did they do? Because obviously you're all about training now. What did they do to help you there?
Do you know what? I had incredible support from Sam, my wife, who was absolutely amazing. And she supported me because I was on a basic salary of £7,000, no commission coming in. And she was amazing, you know, and she kept me going. And then fortunately it did click. And then 14 months after that, I was branch manager. A couple of years later, I was made one of the directors. And one of the things that really changed my life was I got sent to a I don't know, Vistage Tech. So it was with all different businesses. You could classify it now as a property academy, where you've got different people coming in. You've got a facilitator there, and that really got me out of my comfort zone. I had an amazing mentor facilitator there, and that, you know, from somebody who was very shy, I wouldn't say boo to a goose, that really got me out of my comfort zone and really changed the way I manage people and help people.
I mean, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, I now realise is so important to grow as an individual, and you know, and to help you do your job better, and maybe help other people do their jobs better as well. So you mentioned Sam. So what age were you when you met Sam and married Sam? So
Sam I met in 1991. So I was 23 at the time. We married in 1994. Right. And then Sam sadly passed away in 2021.
But you had 3 beautiful boys.
We had 3 beautiful boys. Yeah.
And a very happy marriage. And Sam was diagnosed with breast cancer.
She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2011. Yeah. Right.
How did you as a family deal with that?
Initially, every time we saw the doctor, it just got worse and worse.
Right.
So Sam ended up having 4 major surgeries. She called it spa days. So she had 31 spa days, which was 16 chemo and 15 radio. Her mindset was absolutely incredible.
I wish I could have met her. She sounded like an
Amazing lady,
woman. Yeah.
and she went into she went into remission, so which was great. So we were all really happy. She did the shine walk.
Did the boys know that she had cancer?
Initially, yes.
Right.
So first time round, yes.
Right.
Second time round, so she did the shine walk in September. In January, she was complaining that she was in a lot of pain.
Right.
So normally you go back every year, and for years we've gone past, everything was fine.
So how many years had she been in remission?
So just a couple of years.
Right.
And then we'd gone back, and then I said, come on, we need to go back and see the specialist. Went to see the specialist, and he said that I'm really sorry, but cancer spread, it's now terminal, we're going to manage it. You've got a year to, effectively you've got a year.
Yeah.
And Sam decided that she didn't want to tell the boys.
Right.
That was hard, because that's something we actually disagreed on.
But it's got to be her call.
But it was her call. But Sam didn't want to go away, and she was very unusual, and she was here for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And her oncologist used to travel around the world, and he used to talk at conferences, and he used to say, I've got this patient, and she's on exactly the same treatment as everybody else, and yet she's still here.
Yeah.
And it was down to mindset.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't want to go. She was a fighter. And then sadly, his wife was involved in an accident where she passed away whilst we were going through the treatment. And his son, he had a conversation with his son, and he said, look, I've got this patient who's got cancer, it's terminal. If you were their kids, would you like to know what's going on? And he said yes. So that night we went and told them, and it's got to be the worst conversation in my life to say that, you know what, your mum's not going to be here, and she's most probably got...
What ages were they at the time?
14, 20, 21.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it? It's a tough conversation.
So,
how did they react to that?
Well, I think I've still got one son who finds it really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because because he feels that there's trust issues. He can't trust me because we didn't tell them.
Right. Okay.
So but everybody's had therapy. I've had therapy as well.
Have you had therapy as a family?
We haven't had therapy as a family, but we've had it all individually. But it's horrible decision. And then in January 21, basically we went, and they just said, look, we can't, there's nothing else we can do. We're just going to stop the treatment. And that could be, well, I knew from experience then it was going to be about 6 weeks. So it's just really, really, really horrible watching somebody that you love losing weight, not eating, not able to go to the toilet, not able to go downstairs, not able to get out of bed, and you're seeing that person evaporate before your very eyes, and watching my wife, one that I love so dearly, do that, and then the kids going through that as well.
Were they kind of, I'm going to use the wrong word here, involved in that? Were they there?
Well, it's COVID, so we were all at home. So COVID in a way was a blessing.
And Sam was at home.
And Sam was at home. So Sam wanted to, she wanted to be at home. She wanted to be surrounded by her children. And the final week is like got to the stage of, I can't cope. I need help. Right. And we spoke to the hospice, and they said, there's a space. but you can only come for 2 hours a day, and there's only allowed 2 of you that are going to be there
COVID.
because of COVID.
Right.
It's like, well, that's not going to happen.
No.
So we managed to get a night nurse, and the night nurse, I remember Sam's last words were, the night nurse came in, and the nurse said, and Sam wasn't very coherent at the time, but she liked to watch reality TV. And I think she was like watching, I don't know, some celebrity show.
Yeah.
And the nurse said something, and her last words were, "This program's shit," and that was it. And
I think that's a great thing to say as your last words.
yeah, so I slept downstairs. The night nurse looked after her, and at 5 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from a night nurse to come up.
Yeah.
So I woke all the kids up, and she said, "You need to go and say goodbye, because that's it." But Sam didn't want to go. So and at 7 o'clock, when the night nurse was due to go, she said, "Look," she stayed till 7:30, and she said, "I'm really sorry, I've got to go now."
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, fine. But she goes, "I'm not sure I'll see you tonight." But she came that night. Tuesday night, Sam was the same. Wednesday.
But in a coma at this
No,
stage.
no, she was like not coherent,
Yeah.
but. And then Wednesday morning, Joel's sitting with her. Dad, come upstairs. So I come upstairs, and she's sat up.
No.
I've got no idea where she's got the strength from. She sat up, and I'm holding her and saying, "Sam, where are you going?" She couldn't speak.
Yeah.
But this was like her last round. "Come on, you need to sit down, you need to sit down." And then she eventually sat down. Wednesday night, the nurse came. It's like, I don't know how she's still here. And then Thursday, the hospice people called and I said, "We're really sorry, but we've got no one that can help you tonight."
Right.
And I said, no, I really need help.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "We'll see what we can do." And they managed to get this lady, and she said, "Look, she's not a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
She can't administer drugs,
Yeah.
but she can sit there." So literally, I sat and I went downstairs, and within half an hour, I get a phone call, "You need to come up."
Mm-hmm.
So we called the ambulance, or not the ambulance, the doctors. They came, they administered some stuff. So I sat with her. 2 o'clock, she was, not great. So another doctor came, and then they sorted her out. And then 5 o'clock, I got a phone call to say, that was it. She had stopped breathing, and that was it. So
It's an amazing thing to live through, but to be doing that with your still young family, and it's in COVID. It's strange. You can't have the normal funeral, and so how did you, again as a family, deal with that?
Well, being Jewish, you have to bury the person
Right.
within 24 hours,
Yeah.
within reason. But it was on a Friday, and you've got the Jewish Shabbos, and it was in winter, so it finishes at 1 o'clock.
Right.
So literally, that was crazy. You have to call 111 to register the death.
Yeah.
And they just said, "Well, wait till your doctor's surgery is open." So the doctor, who had never ever spoken to us until 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
I got a phone call to say, "Because you're a carer, we're organising you to have a jab. By the way, how's your wife?" So I said, "Well, why don't you call back and I'll show you how my wife is." So he actually gave me his mobile number.
Right.
So I left a message at him at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he came round at 7 and said, gave the death certificate and whatever. But the registry didn't open till 9 o'clock. You have to get the rabbi. So the long and the short of it, I managed to arrange a funeral within 3 hours.
That's incredible.
So, and she got buried at 12:30. I also had my car that had broken down because I hadn't used it, so I had to get the AA to come and start it, take me to a petrol station, and at that time I also had to have my COVID injection, which was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So the doctor managed to sort it for 10 o'clock. So I walked in there was a queue of 200 people. I said, "I'm here for my jabs." They said, "So are 200 people." So I said, "But their wife hasn't died 2 hours ago and is being buried in an hour." And they go, "Okay, come straight in."
I
and
just
they sorted it all
can't
out.
believe that you have the resilience to do all of this, just literally hours after Sam has
I think it was
died.
all on adrenaline. I got no idea. It was mad.
So the years since, I know you found it difficult being a single parent. Can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the difficulties you've had?
So I've had really dark thoughts. I've been to places that I don't want to be. I didn't want to be here.
Would you say suicidal thoughts?
Yeah, I had suicidal thoughts. I wanted to either, I don't think I was ever going to do it, but maybe jump on the bridge. Or when you go over a level crossing and there's trains there, it's like, well, I want to stop over that. So I managed to get myself out of that by getting therapy, even though at times I think I help the therapist more than they help me. And I think at times the last therapist actually, and I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here or not.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But the last therapist literally mind-fucked me with a comment she made about that I hadn't even thought about, that made me physically ill.
Right.
But yeah, I think one of my biggest challenges now, and I find really hard, is being a single dad. I don't know what to say to the boys at times. I don't want to upset them because I know what they've been through. But there's certain things that I should be saying to them to help them with their careers, stuff like that. Their mum will be great talking about their love life and stuff like that, which I haven't got a clue about. And then dating's another subject, which I'm not going to go into, but, you know, going through all of that and finding somebody else and having to start again.
So my experience, I've got two boys and a girl. I would say that the boys are probably less likely to talk about their love life with either parent. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but I think that's, so you're not alone there.
I think they would talk to Sam more.
And, but you're probably doing yourself an injustice that you're probably doing a fantastic job and you are talking to them, you are helping them with their career choices. You know, just given what you do for a living, I don't think you'd fail to do that for your sons, but you probably feel that you're not doing the best job.
Yeah.
Because being a single parent can be tough.
It is really, really tough.
Yeah.
Really, really hard.
But you briefly said that about dating. You started dating again? You've got
Yeah, so that was a whole experience. I won't go through that and bore everyone with my love life, but that's what most probably drove me to the dark thoughts, the third date I had with somebody. But no, I am very fortunate and I'm very grateful that I've met somebody that's in a similar position to me, that lost their partner a year before Sam. My oldest friend introduced us, and that's going from strength to strength. And we both understand each other. We both get it. Yeah. You know, there'd be times where, you know, Justine's got down days, I'm having down days, but we both get the reasons why we're having those down days. Yeah. And we're both there for each other. You know, again, it's most probably harder for the kids as well, seeing their parents with somebody that's not their mum or dad. So that's something else. But
I'm sure Sam would have wanted you to be happy.
Yeah, so Sam was amazing, and I know at the conference 2 or 3 years ago I read the last bit of a letter, and you know, in that letter Sam said to me, look, I want you to meet somebody. In fact, when Sam was first diagnosed, the first thing she said to me was, we need to get you a housekeeper, and we need to get you to something, we need to find you somebody else. And I said, Sam, you're still here, you're not going anywhere. Please don't please don't talk about that. But she knew me too well. You know, I do need a lot of help and a lot of looking after.
I'm sure you do. I mean, you've proved to be so resilient that I'm sure you don't need as much help as you imagine that you do. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. But just coming on to women in a state agency, you're a huge advocate for us, and you believe that men should get involved more. So why do you think it's important that men get involved?
The conference was a real eye-opener for me. Every conference I've been to, I think I've been to the 3.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm going to sound... I must live under a rock or be very naive and not really understanding what goes on in the life of a woman. You know, some from it's when sanitary stuff in toilets, like I've never even thought of that. Pay, equality. You know, Clare Hughes' story was mind-blowing.
She was so brave to share that story, and she had buried that
Yeah.
for decades, you know, because she didn't want to admit really to herself that it had happened, and buried it.
And I mean, I found that story mind-blowing, and you know, and then to understand that Claire's then, or other people came to Claire after and saying that's still going on as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's scary what's going on.
I'd like to think it's reducing, and the more men get involved in the conversation, so come along to the conference, you know, join the supporters charter. There are lots of things that men can do, and ask, you know, either the board or other people that they know in our community what they can do to make a difference. We've got champions all across the country, as you know. So during your training, because I know that you train a lot of independent estate agents across the country, is this this inequality ever something that's raised or apparent that you see?
I don't think it has been raised, but you know, from what I'm seeing from, you know, just listening and getting a better understanding is still going on, and it's still going on. I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
Because We're is getting the message out there, and I think you've got a number of massive advocates, men-wise, that are going to help deliver that message as well. And for me, actually, it's made me more aware of standing up if I am seeing it, to call it out, to say, you know, why is this going on? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, no, I think calling it out is very often something that men don't want to be seen to do, or because we don't want to stand up from the crowd sometimes, do we? But I know that Ben Madden has a support group for men as well. I'm not saying you should talk about We're in that group, but perhaps you could.
So I would talk, so any training session, I would say, you know, I think I had one a couple of weeks ago where I talked, you know, are you aware of a women in the estate agency group? Have you joined it? Because, you know, it's a really safe environment for you to get the support and help that you need, that maybe that you feel that you can't have that conversation with your male boss or whatever, but you can have a conversation with loads of people that have been through it. They can help you how they've overcome it. And that, to me, that's the evidence that you can overcome it now. And maybe they're not in the right environment, the right job, and they need to move on.
Have you come across quite a few women that hadn't heard of us or weren't in the group? Really? You see, in our little bubble, we think everybody knows about We're, but of course we don't. And there must be probably tens of thousands of women that work in a estate agency that don't know who we are, that don't know about the work that we're doing, and our ambitions, our goals. It's been fantastic chatting to you. This is, I'm sure it's gone over time. I don't know. I'm not even looking at the clock. But one final question we always ask everybody is, who would you like to see in the hot seat in future?
Okay, so I'd like to do two people, if that's possible.
Go on.
No, they're together.
You,
so no, they're a mother and son. So Adriana Lloyd and Daniel Lloyd.
Right.
So Daniel started off a charity called Marcus for Mindfulness when his best friend passed by suicide when he was 14.
Right.
And he started this incredible campaign. And I think having him on the sofa sharing what he's doing with his mum and what they've done will be incredible to share to everybody else.
That's a fantastic nomination. Thank you for joining us today, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.